It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.
And now the host, Calvin Logan.
Well, the Nigerian oil and gas industry has been dominated by men, and it is seldom that you find a woman occupying a position as powerful as the one occupied by Apostle Folorunsho Alakija. She is one of Nigeria's most successful businesswomen who wears many hats. She's an author, a philanthropist, a real estate mogul, and secured one of the most lucrative ventures from the Nigerian government, an oil block. In celebration of her 70th birthday, Apostle Alakija shared the secret to her success and much more in this special feature. She is arguably one of the most recognizable faces in the oil and gas industry in Africa and was named Africa's richest woman by Forbes in 2020 with an estimated net worth of $1 billion. Apostle Folorunsho Alakija has attained the height of success that is almost unimaginable, and she has only just turned 70. Born in 1951 into an upper-middle-class family and the 8th child out of 52 children, her love for family is undeniably the secret that has kept her grounded over the years. Alakija began her career in the banking world, which lasted for 12 years, before deciding to pursue her passion for fashion at the American College in London and the Central School of Fashion. She sprung into limelight when she began designing for big-name politicians and the wife of Nigeria's former head of state, the late Mariam Babangida. Her first fashion label, Supreme Stitches, which was later renamed the Rose of Sharon, House of Fashion in 1996, quickly became a household name after winning a fashion competition. Before Alakija's transition to the oil and gas industry, the fashion house left an indelible mark promoting Nigerian culture through fashion and style. Folorunsho Alakija is the vice chair of Famfa Oil, a Nigerian oil exploration company, which partners include Chevron and Petrobras. She became an apostle last year and dedicates her time to philanthropy and women empowerment through her foundation, the Rose of Sharon Foundation, and Flourish Africa. I met up with the Nigerian billionaire just before her 70th birthday, and she took me through her journey of success, how she secured an oil well from the Nigerian government, and gave me a sneak peek to her utmost sanctuary, her love for God. Apostle Alakija, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining me today. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you as you turn 70. Now, what does life mean at 70?
You know, I don't feel 70. In my heart, it's flown by. I didn't realize that I could sit here and be talking about 70 so quickly. And I look back now, and I can say that nothing to regret, except that I didn't come to Christ earlier, which was almost 30 years ago. That's my only regret in life.
Amazing.
Yes.
Let's start from the beginning. Who is Folorunsho Alakija? Tell us about your upbringing and any fun childhood memories you would love to share.
The meaning of my name is God Protector. And he had been doing that right from when I was in my mother's womb. I know that he reminded me lately that you don't need to be afraid. If it wasn't for him, that your mother wouldn't even have given birth to you. I thank God. I come from a polygamous home. Growing up taught us a lot. At an early age of 7, my parents decided to send me and one of my siblings, who was 6 at the time, to school in boarding school in England. That was a big change for me, a big change. The weather wasn't kind, of course, for a little girl who had been in the sun all her life, and now had to wear winter coats and socks up to your knees.
Now I see where all of that is coming from. You don't like the cold.
I do not like the cold, and I still don't like the cold. Then having to have your bath only once a week, that was the rule in boarding school. Coming back 4 years later as an 11-year-old, I remember that one day my mom sent me with a letter to my dad. He was having his siesta at home. She was in her shop, I was in her shop. Maybe I'd come back, maybe like 6 months after, my return back to Nigeria. And she gives me this letter, go and give it to your father. I got there, and he was sleeping. The mosquito net was down, and I woke him up. And I said, I have this letter for you, sir, that my mom wanted me to give it to you. And he said, okay, why don't you stick it in my mouth? And I lifted up the net, mosquito net, and I stuck the letter in his mouth. Suddenly he got up. He was in a rage. He took his clothes brush and he started spanking me with it. And I felt so bad. I felt that, life had dealt a bad one on me because I didn't know what I did wrong.
Because you told me to do that, and I did.
Yes. He told me to put it in his mouth, and I put it in his mouth. I didn't realize that he was being sarcastic. I cried all the way to my mom's store, and I told my mom what happened. When she said, why are you crying? And she burst into laughter when I told her what happened. And she called all, the other retailers around and told them what happened. And they all burst out laughing. And I cried the more because I didn't know why they were all laughing. And I was crying. And I started saying, I want to go back to England. I want to go back to England. I'm not staying here anymore. It took me a long time to realize what I did wrong.
And I hope you apologized to your dad when you found out. So was your mother a tailor, or when you say retail?
She was retailing textiles.
Aha!
And my father used to order the textiles from Austria.
Wow.
He would design them and he would order them, and the orders, he was a wholesaler.
Fantastic.
And my mom was one of his customers.
And I know that you dabbled into fashion and textile, and you transitioned.
I transitioned
from the fashion industry.
From the fashion industry into the oil industry.
And you've become this oil magnate.
To the glory of God.
Amazing. I'd love for you to share that journey. What made you give up fashion to go into the oil industry?
Well, first and foremost, I'll say fashion is my passion.
Yes. My passion too.
I can tell. I can tell. I can tell. A friend of mine, we met on the plane. We're family friends. We met on the plane, and she said, oh, you know what? There's something I'd like to talk to you about when we get back to Nigeria. If the person I asked to help me out with it hasn't done it, then, I'll ask you to help me out. So we got back to Nigeria, and she came knocking on my door, gave me some documents, and she had some clients that were looking to lift crude oil from Nigeria. And she wondered whether I might be able to speak to some of my clients, one of whom was the late Mrs. Babangida. And I said, okay, I'll go and see her, yes. Let's see how she can help. And I got there, and she said, okay, I can book an appointment for you to see the petroleum minister. And I went to see the petroleum minister, and what they wanted was to lift crude. And the petroleum minister said, listen, the current administration at that time really wanted to move away from that, preferred to get Nigerians to be more involved in that rather than, giving that out to foreigners. So he said if they want to invest in Nigeria rather than come and lift Nigeria's crude, then they'd be willing to do that. I took it back to my friend. She took it back to her clients, and her clients said, no, we don't want to invest in Nigeria. We only wanted to lift. So we parted ways, said bye-bye. And I said to myself, now that I have an inroad to that place, why don't I go and find something I can do? All I wanted was a contract. You understand what I'm saying? To boost, my pocket. I still wanted to carry on doing my fashion. I love it.
Yeah.
So I went back. I asked Mrs. Babangida to please help me to book another appointment. And I went to see the minister, and I told him that I was interested in, finding something to do with the
oil industry,
with the, with NNPC. And I was given all sorts of different options, that are possibilities. You understand me? Catering for those on, on the offshore.
Yes.
And maybe transporting crude from one location to another, stuff like that. So I would sit down, write my letter, and take it there. Sometimes I had to wait 6 months to get the appointment. Yes.
Wow.
Sometimes 4 months. And I would go back, and he would punch holes in what had come to offer. And I would go back dejected. And I would go and do some more homework. And then I'd get Mrs. Babangida to book another appointment for me.
Wow.
So that went on. They were all no-nos, which is one of the reasons why I've made it one of my mantras. Never accept a no for an answer. So I came back home and I cried my eyes out. My husband comforted me. And I called Mrs. Babangida and I said, this is what I came back with. And she said, well, all she knows is that kind of thing takes years. And we left it at that. And I carried on licking my wounds. And then I woke up one day and I said, no, I'm not accepting that no. I'm not going to allow that to just fritter away.
Yes.
It was like a wake-up call. Folorunsho, what's the matter with you? I thought you liked challenges. I was saying that to myself. Come on, do something about this. What's there to lose?
Yeah.
So I decided that I was going to go back. So I called Mrs. Babangida and I said, please, I'd like to ask you to please book me one more appointment. And she did.
She was very kind.
She was very kind.
Wow. Okay.
But that was all that she did concerning this oil license matter. She kept on getting me those appointments. And the rest was what God wanted to do. What he wanted to do at first by giving me that opening through my friend, because I would have never looked at the oil industry.
Correct.
So I went back and I said to the minister that I wanted to see whether I could do this, that I really want to apply for it. So he said, okay, you go and do your homework, because it's Nigerians that the government of the day wants to encourage now.
Yeah.
We have a lot of multinationals over the years. We want to encourage Nigerians. We want our resources and our wealth to be retained in our own land, rather than having it carted away by foreigners all the time.
Yes.
So I applied for the license 3 times. And that took 3 years.
3 years.
The ministers changed hands twice. And it was during the time of the last one that I eventually got it. I remember that I was abroad and I was watching General Babangida when he was on CNN and he was saying that he was stepping down. Oh. I remember that each time the minister changed hands, I would burst into tears again.
Oh, goodness.
Because it was like snakes and ladders.
It's like you're starting all over again.
It was like snakes and ladders.
Yes.
And it was like I was starting all over again.
Yes.
Because it was a case of discretionary allocation at the time. So the president was the one that, through his offices, NMPC, that would decide who gets it. I think I was one of the first women to get the license. And it's very painful when you listen to what people say. That, oh, it's because she made blouses for Mrs. Babangida. Oh, it's because she was one of them. But how about all the others who got the license and who weren't in the oil industry at the time that they got the license? So because they're men, they have two heads. Is it fair on womanhood? Why relegate us to the background? Why say we can't when we can? When all the prerequisites, the boxes could be ticked. I made all of them available at technical partners, and I went here and there. I did everything. I supplied everything. I did my homework. I learnt on the job. I went for courses as well to help me, to build me up. You understand? To be able to sit in boardrooms and face others and be where I am today. We got that license, and when it came and I went to find out about it, I realized that it was an oil block that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted it. Nobody in the industry wanted it. It was in deep offshore. It was 5,000 feet deep, and technology had not reached that water depth. It was too expensive to explore, and nobody knew what was deep under. Only God knew, and it closed the eyes of every human being on earth to it.
Wow.
As soon as we eventually found oil in commercial quantity, I'm jumping the gun now, because it took another 3 years.
Wow.
After getting the license. Before I was able to get technical partners, because nobody wanted it.
Wow.
The first door I knocked on, a multinational company that was right next to us on the plan.
Yeah.
I said, would you like to partner with us, please? And they said, no. We were allocated that block and we returned it, because it just was not going to happen. There's no point. Where do you start from? We returned it, and they said, no, we don't want to partner with you. 3 years down the line, Texaco came knocking. There was maybe a bit more of technology improving, and they were willing to look into that block, and they invited us for a meeting. We had meetings for 3 months, negotiation meetings for 3 months, and we eventually signed. Before we signed, however, those neighbors who had said no came running, and they said, we're interested now. I said, no, sorry. Too late. Because we had signed an MOU with Texaco, who had said, listen, if anything happens while we're still negotiating, we want to hear. So we were obliged to tell them that Statoil had come knocking on our door and said, no, don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. So Statoil said to us, we'll do this for you, we'll do this for you, we'll do this for you, we'll do this for you. You know what we did with that? We were armed with all the promises they made, and we used that against Texaco.
You used it to negotiate.
To negotiate
Absolutely.
more.
Wow.
It was God.
Incredible. Now, you are the richest African woman, well, according to Forbes 2020, I believe. How does that make you feel? And what does it mean to you?
I don't say that I am. It's people that say that. How does it feel? Gives you some more comfort in terms of, okay, I'd like to buy this, I'd like to buy that. Give you some more comfort. But it doesn't do everything that you want in life. And it's good to be able to use it to help others who don't have. Because look at our fingers.
You're never equal.
They're not equal.
Right.
They're not equal. And I know that the more you give, the more God gives back to you. That's for sure. But that shouldn't be the reason why you should give.
Well, you've just talked about giving, and this is who you are, because we know this from your foundation, Rose of Sharon Foundation. It's, it involves taking care of widows and children. Tell us what inspired it and where it is right now.
Right. I had a store on the high street. And I used to have a lot of people walking in asking for help. And I used to help them.
Yeah.
And I thought that there should be a better way to do it in a more effective way. So I asked God if there's a particular area or areas that he would like me to help him. You know, as Christians, we really shouldn't be going to God saying, oh, give me this, help me with this, I want this, I want. We should also ask God, what can I do for you today?
Yes.
And there came a time when some people were thinking, oh, is it only widows that she helps? Oh, well, of course I don't want you to lose your husband before I can help you. So I decided to set up Flourish Africa for women. And some said to me, oh, Folorunsho Alakija, FA. Yeah, that's why I named it Flourish Africa. I said, in a way.
Okay.
In a way, yes.
Why not?
But, Africans have to flourish.
Correct.
We need to flourish.
Absolutely.
I'm a woman. Let me start there.
Yes.
So.
You've done fantastic. Even with the pandemic, you were one of the biggest donors.
Famfa Oil is a family business. I'm not the only one in it.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
My husband, our children, that's where we all work. And when that need became glaring, you can't turn your back and watch your fellow citizens drop dead and not do anything about it. The government didn't have the money. So we had sat down as a family and we were trying to work out which agencies we wanted to reach out to and how we wanted to do this. We found out that if we did it that way, it was going to require a lot of logistics, a lot of planning. And we'd have to delve into areas that we're not conversant with. So we reached out to Kakovid. We got talking and said, listen, we would like to make a donation, but we want to be sure that when we do make the donation to Kakovid, that it's going to get to the right quarters.
Correct.
That's, the areas that we would have liked to see our money go.
How much exactly did your company donate?
We donated 1 billion naira.
Wow, 1 billion naira. Amazing. We all look at you as this Africa's richest woman. How do you unwind? Tell us something that people don't really know about you.
Are you sure they don't know everything
I'm
already?
Sure they don't.
Do I have one? Let me think. I love spending time with my grandchildren, just as my husband also does. Family is everything.
How would you like to be remembered? What legacy would you like to leave behind?
That woman that feared God.
I kind of knew you were going to say that. Before I let you go, I'd love to ask you what your career mantra is and what advice would you give to our young population now? As you know, a lot of people are looking into different forms of making money, and you have been so amazing in telling us how you never gave up in trying to achieve your goal.
I have lots of mantras, but one of my favorites is anything worth doing at all is worth doing well, which is why I always want to go the extra mile. And I encourage others to do the same. Because when you do that, more often than not, it's always a yes at the end of the tunnel. And then for those who want to get wealth quickly, it's not the way to go, because it gets people into trouble. If you want to do it very fast, you will end up cutting corners. And when you cut corners, you're going to regret it. Slow and steady wins the race. Because as you're going slowly, you're planning. You're applying what you've planned.
Absolutely. Slow and steady wins the race. Apostle Folorunso Alakija, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you very so much. Africa's richest woman. Here we go. I've learned so much from you.
Amen.
I hope I get to see you soon.
I hope so too. I look forward to it.
Thank you for joining me on the program.
I enjoyed myself.
I'm glad.
Well, congratulations, Ojinika.
Thank you.
Yes, great interview, as always, as usual.
Thank you.
Yes, and congratulations to Mrs. Alakija.
Well, I also wanted to say
that,
yes, exactly. Today is her birthday. We want to say happy birthday to Nigeria's richest woman, Africa's richest woman. Happy 70th birthday.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.